Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, or hello everyone. Welcome to my video. Sorry that I'm in the kitchen. It's because the light in here is phenomenal. It's a very nice thing. I was gonna film outside, but there was too many people outside, so why does everyone have to be outside when I want to go outside? I literally never go outside, but when I decide to go outside, suddenly the whole world is outside. Riddle me that, but that's besides the point. Today we are going to do an updated version of my hijab journey story. I filmed that when I was only 1 year into wearing the hijab, and about like a month or two into wearing the niqab. Now I think I've learned way more. It's been 1 year wearing hijab, or 1 year wearing niqab, and 2 years of wearing hijab. So I feel like I've learned a lot more now, and my relationship has grown and developed, and I think now my skills on talking are a bit better, so I wanted to make an updated version. If you watched the original video, this one has a lot of new stuff, so please stick around to the end. The hijab, even though I would say it's a relatively minor thing in Islam and for Muslims, it's a very, very big thing for non-Muslims. And I understand it because it's a very visual thing. When non-Muslims think of Islam, they think of the hijab as like one of the main things. Whereas as Muslims, hijab is like something very minute compared to all the other things. It's not like it's the fifth pillar of Islam, you know? It's not like, oh, praying, zakat, and then hijab, you know? It's one of the most like demonized pieces of clothing. Even though Jewish women cover their hair, they're not demonized. Christian women veil in Catholic Church, but they're not demonized. But the hijab is a very demonized article of clothing. And while men and women both have to observe a standard of modesty, women have a specific cloth that is specific to Islam, which is the hijab, or the hair covering. Men do have to cover certain parts of their body, but it's not like they have a specific article of clothing that they have to wear. Like a man can wear shorts, or he can wear a thobe. But the hijab is something specific. This is an Islamic clothing and is rooted in the actual religion of Islam. Now, a lot of people like to add on to why we wear the hijab. A lot of people like to try to justify it to non-Muslims. And the reason why we wear the hijab is to guard our chastity, to identify ourselves as Muslim women, and to obey the commandments of Allah. The hijab is seen more as the garment, when the hijab is more about your relationship to Allah. It's more about your obedience to God. We focus too much, I think, on the physicals of the hijab and not the spirituality of the hijab. Now that I gave a brief introduction into the hijab, we're going to talk about how did I end up wearing the niqab, how did I end up wearing the hijab, etc. I originally honestly hated the hijab. I remember telling my friend, like, oh, when I get my period, I don't want to wear the hijab. And the reason why is, while I love my father, he did push it. Now, did I wear hijab for my father? Maybe at the beginning a little bit, just because I was like, well, I have to. When I did wear the hijab like that, I was not wearing the hijab like I do now. I didn't wear abayas, I wore tight clothes, I wore makeup, I literally wore ripped jeans, which is crazy work. I had my whole knees out. I had my hijab in a style where I didn't show any of my hair, but I had my whole neck out. I wore eyeshadow, lipstick. Like, hijab was a strong word for what I wore, let's just say that. So my father was like fine with that. So I would not say I was forced to wear what I'm wearing now. Maybe at the beginning it was, I don't think he would ever force me to actually put it on, but it was like more like, oh, if you don't do this, we're gonna be mad at you kind of vibe. But I knew my mother would probably be like, oh no, and fight him on that. So I did not really like the hijab, and at the time I was more feminist, and all my friends were very liberal, and I just did not have a good view of the hijab. Now, why did I start wearing the hijab properly? The thing is I first started developing my relationship with Allah before I really put on the hijab properly. I first developed my relationship with God, and I'm planning on making a video on how I started practicing Islam in the future. Once I started becoming connected to Allah, I first started covering my neck, and then I stopped wearing makeup, and then I stopped wearing pants, and I started wearing abayas, and then eventually I decided to put on the niqab. Now, why did I decide to put on the niqab, especially at a young age? I started wearing it not last Eid al-Adha, but the Eid al-Adha before that. So the reason why I put on the niqab is because I personally believe it's obligatory, but I believe it's a very 50-50 issue. Like, I believe it could honestly go either way, and I think if you are a woman who doesn't think that she has to cover her face, that's a totally valid opinion, and that's not my problem. I have honestly learned a lot from wearing the niqab. I have always been a pretty insecure person. I would say I've always struggled with my weight and how I look and not feeling beautiful. And one thing that I've noticed, and I credit it to the hijab, is that I have recently just feel like so beautiful. You know, honestly, like when I look at myself in the mirror, I'm like, mashallah, I love how this girl looks, you know? Not conforming to beauty standards definitely helped me feel more beautiful. Stopping wearing makeup, stopping trying to appeal myself for men and other girls just made me feel so much more beautiful. Now when I look at myself in the mirror, I'm like, wow, that is how Muslima looks like, and I'm so happy with how she looks. You know, I'm so happy with how Allah created me. Yes, of course, there's times where obviously you don't feel beautiful. That's normal. You're not going to feel beautiful every single day. What matters more is obviously the beauty of your heart. But, you know, I just honestly, not conforming to Western standards, especially male standards, has honestly felt so freeing. Especially taking control of my sexuality. Because before, even though I started wearing the hijab when I was 13, so it's not like I had a lot of experience while having like a more woman body and then seeing it. I did get like a few weird stuff happen to me. I don't really want to go into detail because every woman has dealt with, unfortunately, but it's just like, it feels so nice that my sexuality is for me, my body's for me, and that when somebody talks to me, they have to judge me on my character, on my kindness, on my brains, on my literacy, and not on like how big my boobs are, you know? Like, especially when men talk to me, I love how men treat me now. Like, especially the fact that they won't look at me in the eyes, or they're respectful, or they know not to try to shake my hand, or they know not to ask me to do stuff, or they know not to try to be friends with me. I absolutely love this. I love when people... I forgot to say this in the video, guys, but no matter what you wear, you deserve respect from men, and this level of respect, I don't want you guys to think I'm saying because of how I dress, I deserve this kind of respect, and you don't. Look at me, that they hold me to a higher standard. Even though, of course, niqabis are not perfect, and people shouldn't think someone is more righteous just because they wear the niqab, but I love the idea that, like, if I'm a niqabi, if I pull up in, like, jeans, people are going to look at me weird because you can't really wear a niqab and jeans, you know? I love that people hold me to a higher standard and be like, oh, sister, what are you doing? I love that because it helps correct me, myself. Now, one thing that happens, and I don't know if other niqabis or hijabis can relate, is sometimes you look at other Muslim women who don't follow the same modesty practice as you and kind of feel a little better than them. Of course, this is arrogance that comes from the shaitan, and you wearing a niqab doesn't make you better than anyone, but you know, sometimes you can feel like, ugh, look at her, she's wearing makeup or something like that. And I want to tell you a story that absolutely taught me a lesson on this, okay? So I used to go to this halaqah at the mosque. Absolutely every lady was so sweet, and I love my teacher. I just moved far away from the mosque that I used to, so now I don't go anymore. Anyway, there was this girl, right? And she was a criminal defense lawyer, and I was like, wow, look at her, you know? And she wore makeup and stuff like that. She still wore the hijab. I was like, wow, you know, look, like, you know, internally, of course I never said anything, but I was like, oh, look at her. And then one day, we were going up for prayer, right? And I noticed, like, oh, she prayed the salawat of the masjid, and she prayed all her sunnah, and she was just praying so much. And I was like, subhanAllah, look at me. How arrogant am I that I think I'm better than her? When in the sight of Allah, prayer is more beloved to him than me wearing the hijab. And yes, she's praying more than me, and I think I'm better just because I wear more hijab than her. And that really made me reflect, and I'm so glad Allah showed me that. Because you know, sometimes you need to be humbled, and I'm so happy that Allah taught me that lesson. Because I was like, subhanAllah, look at this woman. And you know, I made a dua. I was like, Ya Allah, please increase her in the goodness that you've given her, and please increase me in that goodness that you've given her, because wow, that's so beautiful. She is such a beautiful soul. Honestly, I aspire to be her. Maybe I'm wearing the hijab and another woman is not wearing a hijab, but I have like 100 sins that are hidden, and she only has that one sin that is public, you know? You really can't judge, because especially sometimes you can forget where you came from. You can forget how you were before. Before, I was literally wearing ripped jeans and eyeshadow and had my whole neck out, and I didn't pray, I didn't care about Islam at all. And it's like, if somebody was judging me at that point, I would have strayed farther away from Islam. you know? So of course I never did say anything, but internally this taught me so much. And I hope that maybe this can teach you something too, because sometimes we can feel more righteous than somebody. And especially with the hijab, because of how other Muslims treat the hijab as if it's like, wow, you know, this is a really crazy thing that a woman can do. Sometimes you can have your ego inflated a little bit, like, yeah, look at me, I wear niqab, I cover my hands, oh, look at me. And then you forget, like, oh, but are you praying your sunnah? Oh, but are you waking up for Fajr every time? Oh, you may be strong enough to cover your face, but are your legs strong enough to carry you from your bed to the prayer mat for Fajr? It's like, you have to have your priorities straight, right? Zakat is more important than the hijab. Hajj is more important than the hijab. So many things in Islam are more important than the hijab. But even as Muslims, sometimes we can overblow how important the hijab is. Am I saying the hijab is not important? No. And I do think you should wear it, of course. This is a commandment from Allah. But it's like, don't think that this makes you better than anyone. Same thing with any act of goodness that you do. Like, even if you pray sunnah or something like that, it's like, you can be like, wow, look at this girl. I got up for praying sunnah after Maghrib and she didn't. And it's like, okay, but what if she has a health condition and she's not feeling good right now? And we tend to judge so quickly and think that we are more pious than we are. Wallahi, only Allah knows who's pious. And you know, sometimes you think it's like, okay, maybe that girl is not wearing hijab, but maybe she's more beloved to Allah than me, and then I'm judging her. But that's so scary, to judge someone Allah loves. Imagine this girl, she's far more pious than you, and she's struggling, and this is her test, and every day she's like, I'm going to wear the hijab, but then she fails. Allah loves those who strive towards His cause. So maybe for me, putting on the hijab is easy. So I'm not going to get as much reward as her when she struggles to wear the hijab. Struggling to wear the hijab is not a failure. Struggling is a test, and you get more reward for your struggle. If an Arab person reads the Quran, and it's easy for them because this is their mother tongue, compared to me, who I only speak English, so maybe it's harder for me to read the Quran. We could read the same amount of Quran, but I'm going to get more reward to them. So just because I don't struggle with putting on the hijab doesn't make me more righteous than the person who does struggle to wear the hijab, because maybe now, oh, she's struggling very hard, but today she decides not to wear makeup. Maybe she'll be more rewarded than me, who wears a full niqab, no hands, no eyes, no face, no nothing. Maybe she will be rewarded for more than me for that simple act because of her struggle. And this is something that I've learned, and I think it also comes with maturity and just learning lessons. You know, one thing that's very important is that you listen to the lessons that Allah are teaching you. You know, you might, if I wasn't listening and paying attention, then I might have been being like, oh, she's praying sunnah, and then left, and then not have learned that very, very valuable lesson in the mosque. You have to try to listen. What is happening in my life, and what is it humbling me to? What is it teaching me? Everything teaches us to an extent. What is this hardship teaching me? You shouldn't always be like, oh, this hurts or this, that. Try to think, what is the wisdom behind it? Of course, we can't understand all the wisdom, but we can understand it to an extent. And that's so important. On a personal level, I would say I do love wearing the hijab and I do love wearing the niqab. But I also believe that my personal opinion doesn't matter because it's a commandment from God. So whether or not I enjoy wearing it, I don't think it really matters. I have learned to love the niqab and love the hijab. Every now and then do I wish, like, yeah, I wish like I could show off and be pretty and wear makeup. Yeah, but to me, my peace is more important. And the men who compliment me or the women who compliment me or the approval I might get by wearing what they like doesn't matter, because I'm not going to take the approval to the grave. I will be buried alone. I will be in the grave alone. All I will have is 7 sheets of cloth on my body. When I am buried, I will have nothing. I will be miskeen. Don't disobey your Creator for something that won't even be taken with you to the grave. The things that you will take to the grave is your good and bad deeds. And if you are disobeying Allah for approval, then you should be very scared. Now, if you are struggling to wear the hijab, I understand that it's scary. I never really struggled with wearing the hijab. It's more public opinion and what people are going to say. You know, even now there's still some friends or stuff that I haven't seen in a long time, and I'm nervous for them to see me and see that I'm wearing the niqab, because I'm like, what are they going to say, or what are they going to think, or are they going to think I'm trying to say what they're doing is wrong, or are they going to think I'm trying to say I'm more righteous? It's your life, you know? Of course, obey your parents and obey people in what is good, but at the end of the day, it is your body, and you get to choose what you put on it. And putting something on for the sake of Allah, wallahi, you'll never regret it. Once you find the beauty in the hijab, you just kind of crave it, you know? You just crave it and you're like, I need more, I need more, I need more. That's why I feel like, oh, I need to cover my face, I need more of this piece. Oh, I need to cover my eyes, I need more of this piece. Oh, I need to stop wearing perfume, I need more of this piece. I want to cover my hands, I need more of this piece. Wallahi, the hijab honestly protects your peace in ways that it's kind of indescribable. But if you are struggling with hijab, I don't want you to feel like shame or anything like that. Wallahi, you don't know all the bad things that I do. You don't know what I do behind closed doors, and you don't know what kind of person I am. And I don't want anyone to be like, oh, look, she's wearing this or that, or think that I am, or like compare themselves to me. That's one thing that I'm worried about, is I don't want people to be like, or other girls who are struggling, be like, wow, but she put on the niqab at 14 and I didn't even start wearing the hijab until I was 25. We are all on our own journeys. And just because something happened earlier doesn't necessarily make it better. Everything really happens at the right time and for a reason. And your heart develops for the right reasons. So don't like judge and think, oh, she did this at this time, or she did that or that time, so she's better than me. The only one who can judge who's better is Allah at the end of the day. Anyway, those are all my thoughts. I hope you guys like this updated version. I think this one's much better, so I love you guys so much. Thank you so much. We're almost to 300. I'd really appreciate it if you would subscribe. Of course, you don't have to, but yeah, I love you guys so much. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, or bye-bye.